What's up, filmmakers? Today I'm going to show you 3 different types of ND filters that you can use for making your videos. Alright, so let's jump right into it. The first type of ND filter is what I call a solid state or standard ND filter. Now this is going to be the kind that you screw right onto the front of your lens, and it's only one level of ND. So whether it's cutting out 2 stops or 4 or 8 and so on, it's going to be whatever it is that you purchased. When you're actually out there shooting, you may not know exactly how much ND you need. So you'll be sitting there fiddling with different NDs, swapping them on and off, trying to get your exposure just right, because you're trying to keep that 180-degree shutter rule so that you have that nice motion blur. Now, that could be a problem if you're trying to keep things moving quickly and not miss the shot. You know, you don't want to be fiddling with different ND filters. The next type of ND filter is actually my favorite, and it's a variable ND filter built right into a lens mount adapter. Now for me, I'm using all Sony cameras and then using Canon mount lenses on them. So having that adapter in between is perfect because it allows me to add ND to any of my lenses. Now the beauty of that is that you really only need this one ND filter, because it takes you anywhere from like ND2 all the way up to ND16. So you don't need to buy a bunch of different ones and all different thread sizes, because the filter comes after the lens, you know, it's on the other side, so you don't need to even worry about the different thread sizes of all your different lenses. You just need this one, and it's going to work universally with any Canon mount, and it's going to get you as much ND as you need. So honestly, it is my favorite. Now of course there are some downsides of using this variable ND filter, and some of those are that when you actually crank up the ND all the way, it can cause some vignetting around the edges of your image, and it can also introduce a little bit of color tinting. Now luckily that can be corrected in post-production with a little bit of color correction. Another thing is that there are a few layers of glass in there, because you know it's spinning around so that you can get that variable ND working, and that can introduce just a tiny bit more lens flares or chromatic aberrations. So that is something that you want to keep in mind when you're choosing a variable ND over like a solid state ND filter. The final filter that we're going to look at is also a variable ND filter, but it screws onto the front of your lens using the thread mounts. Now the best practice for this is to buy an ND filter that fits your lens with the largest millimeter thread size, because it will allow you to obviously put it on that one, and then on every single lens that is smaller, it'll have enough surface area to cover the entire front element of the glass. Now the way that you accomplish that is with step down rings. So you can buy them in a pack, and it'll allow you to take it, you know, anywhere from like 82 or 77 millimeters all the way down to your smallest millimeter thread size. Now it can look pretty funny if you use like a bunch of rings in succession, because it'll end up looking like this strange cone on the front of your lens. When you do that, it can also cause vignetting, and it causes a lot of weight on the front of your lens. So you really don't want to do that. You just want to use the specific adapter that you need to go from one thread size down to the next, so you're only using one adapter. The variable ND filter I'm using is from Tiffen, and it actually works really well. It's a super nice metal build, and it feels really quality in your hand, and it actually spins really smoothly. Now there are a couple disadvantages to it, and one of them is that when you crank it all the way up to full ND, it's honestly unusable at that final max step, because it causes a lot of this weird mushy black like X to appear on the screen. The furthest I can take this variable ND is actually just one stop before max, and up to that point it works really well. Now it does add, again, of course, a little bit of vignetting around the edges, but when you don't have it close to max, I don't really notice any of that vignetting. Another thing about this variable ND filter is that you can't use your lens hoods with it, because it's just too big and they won't mount to it. So that's just something to keep in mind, especially when you're comparing it to the variable ND filter built right into the mount. Because it's behind the lens, it still allows you to put the lens hood on the front. So again, there's a nice win for that one, but you just want to keep those things in mind when you're actually out shopping for ND filters. There's seriously pros and cons to all of them. you're using a matte box, you can buy 4x4 ND filters that drop right into your matte box, and they work with any lens. They're universal because they sit right in front of the lens instead of trying to adapt to it in some way. So this is a great option if you're shooting fully rigged out with rails and a matte box and everything like that. Now choose the ND filter that's right for you. You can check out all the ones that I showed you today down in the description below. And if you guys want to learn how to light and shoot better videos, hit subscribe right now. I have so many more videos coming out on shooting, editing, everything like that. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.